Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Joey. I'm a full-time work from home, stay-at-home mom, an author, and the person that's gonna help you become the main character in your own life. And today I wanted to touch on something a little bit vulnerable and real and honest and discuss what it looks like to basically do like a hard reset, especially if you did not have the start to the new year that you were hoping to have. And if you've seen my last video, then you know that I did not have the start to my new year that I expected. And because of that, things have looked a little bit different around here for the last couple of weeks. And I am a type A, go with it, go with it, go with it kind of person. I'm always doing something. I am sure that there is a lot that a therapist could dig into about why I feel like I always need to be doing something. But I also, on the flip side of that coin, do enjoy being productive. It is something that it's just part of my personality. It's something I like to do. So when life kind of throws a curveball, especially a physical curveball, meaning that I have physical limitations or I'm knocked out of the game for a hot minute, that can lend itself to a spiral for me, especially in a mental sort of way. And I did really well the first week, like the week that I was actually in the hospital, I was doing really well because I had no choice, right? I was out of my environment. This is Bailey, by the way. She's part of our whole, the year did not start the way we expected. I'll get into that in a minute. But if you could probably see a little bit, she's got some shaved fur right there. She had surgery. She's okay. She'll be fine. She's our little old lady. Are you our old lady? But while I was in the hospital, I was doing fine mentally because I was out of the game. I was not in my environment. I was not staring at all the things that needed to be done. And once I came home, I was doing really well resting, but it was starting to have a toll, like take a toll on my mental state because I'm in my house. There's chaos happening around me. My husband, who is an angel of a human, was juggling all of the things. I mean, we're talking managing things here at the house, managing the child, managing the dog, and said emergency surgery. And I'm also still working in the midst of all that. I was also working in the midst of all of it because aside from all of this, I do still have like a real day job. And so as the days were going by, there were things that were not getting my attention that I wanted to give my attention to, but at the same time, I was incapable, whether it be because there just wasn't enough time in the day or because my physical limitations. So regardless, I'm sure your new year probably didn't look exactly how ours did. I hope it didn't anyway. But even if your new year didn't look like ours, but it still just didn't start the way you wanted it to start. And this doesn't even have to apply to the new year. This could be at any point in your life where you're like, I need a hard reboot. Like, we need just a system reset. We need to start fresh, but you're already so deep and dark into that hole of, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna be able to describe it, but if you're someone like me and your mental state is very much determined by your environment and sadly your productivity, when those things start to take a hit, the mental state starts to take a hit. And it's very difficult, I've found, to kind of claw myself out of that hole because everything sort of piles on top of each other and I end up in this spiral. And so that's where you're at, whether it's because of the new year or you're watching this video in August. I have some insight for you because the last couple of days I've been on a journey to kind of pull myself out of that. And I'm definitely not fully out of it yet. This is going to be a journey because aside from the mental state of things, I also have physical limitations right now where I'm still healing and having to, unfortunately, pay attention to what my body can and cannot do right now, which does throw a bit of a wrench in some of the things I want to do. So if that's where you're at, let's take a look at how to sort of establish a system reset, but very realistically. I'm gonna put this disclaimer out there right now. This is not aspirational. This is not aesthetic. This is not to become the best version of yourself. Girls, we are trying to get back at baseline. We are just trying to get back to basics. And so that's very much what this video looks like. So if that's where you're at, let's take a look. Okay, the very first thing that you need to do if this is kind of the state of mind that you're in, this might be super unpopular, but I'm gonna tell you to do it because it's important. You need to pay attention to where this thought is coming from. Are you feeling obligated to reset and you're feeling this internal pressure of like, I've got to get back to basic? like I gotta get back to my baseline. I have to get back to productivity. And it's that like urgency kind of feeling. Is that how you're feeling? Or is there an actual desire to do the things? Because this is where it might be unpopular. If you're feeling the obligation to do it, you're not ready. If you feel the obligation, it's not time, you're not ready. Take a few deep breaths, give yourself permission to rest and relax, and revisit it when that feeling comes with desire. If you want to do the things, if you're feeling like you have this desire to do the things, but there's like a mental block or you're lacking the motivation, the want to is the most important ingredient in that whole recipe, because what we don't want to do is make things worse. What we don't want to do is dig deeper into this hole. So you have to pay attention to whether the desire is there. If the desire is there, then keep watching this video, implement some of these steps. If it's that feeling of obligation, whether it be externally or internally, you're not ready. Take a breath, relax, try again in another day. And as you embark on this journey, there are a few things you want to keep in mind. You have to keep a check on how you're feeling. And I mean, this is like a constant check engine. Like you gotta keep a system check in check, because if you don't pay attention to how you're feeling at every step of the way, you can accidentally dig yourself deeper into this hole. And that's what we are trying to avoid. We are trying to get back at ground level. So the last thing we want to do is dig deeper into this hole. Additionally, slow and steady wins the race. We are not running any marathons here. We are not trying to impress anybody, including ourselves. We are just trying to do the next right thing at a pace that isn't going to set us up for failure, one step at a time. And lastly, if you're like me, this is the hardest step of this whole process, is you have to ask for help. You have to notice where your limitations are and you have to ask for help. It is the most uncomfortable thing in the world for me to ask for help. I hate feeling like a burden. I hate feeling like I can't do something on my own. I like to do things myself at my own pace in my own time because I want it done. I want it done right now. I want it done the way I want it done. I sound like a nightmare of a human. I promise I'm a delight. You know. So yes, you have to ask for help, even if it feels like the most uncomfortable thing in the world. Okay, so once you've made all of those distinctions, the first place I always start is with personal hygiene, which again might sound very basic, and it is very basic. But again, we are focusing on the very basics, because when your physical and mental state start to take a bit of a decline, it's a spiral effect. So it literally affects everything, dominoes, right? They're all falling. And so for me, I can't get to a state of like productivity or feeling better if my personal hygiene has taken a hit. Now I will make this very clear. I showered every day, but by the time I was like in the state where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to like get back to my basics, it had been about 5 days since I'd washed my hair. And I am not one of those people that can go 5 days without washing my hair. So that was the very first thing that I took upon myself to kind of get in check, was I offered myself the space and time to really get my personal hygiene back on track. So we're talking like a face mask. I did my hair oiling routine, which if you've spent any time in a hospital, you know how dry that air is. So I feel like my skin and my hair were just not their best. I took an everything shower, which my girlies know are just delightful, but super hard to, one, find the time to do when you're a parent, but also when you're in that state of mind where you're just not at your best, finding the energy to take an everything shower, because let's be real, it's work. It's not easy to do. But additionally, I have physical limitations right now because of my injury. And so taking an everything shower took some chutzpah, right? Like I had to kind of amp myself up. This sounds horrible, but I had to basically like amp myself up to take this everything shower, but it felt amazing. I mean, we're talking exfoliating in the shower, shaving, all of the shaving, a deep conditioning hair mask, all of the wonderful things. And I'm telling you, when you step out of that shower and you finally take that moment to just like breathe in all of the cleanness, it really was nice. It did sort of set the scene then for me to start taking the steps to kind of bring my physical environment, my mental environment, all of the things onto the same playing field. Okay, the next thing I did, and the next thing I would encourage you to do, is make a list. And remember, we are not reaching for the stars here, guys. This is not an ambitious list. This is not the time to write out lofty goals. This is not the time to set yourself up for failure. We want a list of things that you can actually accomplish in this moment. I mean the very basics. We're talking write down, take out the trash, right? We're talking brush your teeth. Whatever those things are that like are kind of standing in the way of you getting back to baseline, write it down. Because I'm the kind of person that gets like a dopamine hit from crossing something off my to-do list. It's my son in the background. He's having a great time with his dad. But I'm the kind of person that gets a dopamine hit from like crossing something off my to-do list. Again, a therapist could probably have a field day with that, but it's fine to recognize these things about yourself, right? It's okay to recognize the things that are going to make you feel better. And to me, crossing something off a to-do list makes me feel better. It sets my mindset up for like, hey, I'm in productive mode. We are going, we are chugging along, we are making things happen. I like that momentum. I need that momentum. So make a list. Do not make it lofty. Make it as basic and simple as you can. And I'm gonna tell you something. This is not an eat the frog situation either. We are not going to do the hardest thing first. We are trying to establish motivation here. We're already in a hard place mentally, right? Like we are already struggling to do any of the basic things. We are not gonna try to do the hardest thing first. Do the easiest, simplest thing first and carry that momentum forward. Another thing that you wanna try to do, if you can do it, if you can manage it, is try to accomplish the thing that's hanging over your head. I'm sure you know what that is because it's the thing that just popped into your mind as I said that. For me, it was taking down Christmas. Taking down Christmas was literally just like this physical reminder that the new year did not start the way that I wanted it to, because I ordinarily would have taken down Christmas that first week and I couldn't because I was literally laid up in a hospital. And then when I came home, it was just this whole compound of other things that were taking priority, and my husband was overloaded, I was overloaded, it just was not happening. But I was also physically incapable of taking down the Christmas tree, which I know so many of you are gonna be like, that's probably why you injured yourself in the first place. It's because yes, I set up our Christmas tree by myself because I wanted to. I do those things myself. Hold please. Okay, sorry. Everything just sort of like fell apart outside, which I'm sure you heard. I have no idea where I was, except that I was talking about taking Christmas down. So yes, there was this physical reminder that I just couldn't basically switch gears. Like I couldn't get into that like engaged mode because there was this thing hanging over my head. So that is something that I made a priority on the day that I was like, okay, we're gonna hit a reset. Is I knew that I was going to take down Christmas. I was going to ask for help. I was going to pay attention to my mental and physical limitations. I was going to do it one step at a time. I was going to do it very slowly. I was going to take lots of breaks, and trust me, I took lots of breaks. And I promise you, especially if you're my family and you're watching this, because I didn't film it and I have regrets that I didn't film it because I have no other way to prove to you, I did not take our Christmas tree down. I can assure you I did not take our Christmas tree down. My husband did that for us. But yeah, so like that was the thing that was kind of hanging over my head. And I'm sure there's something hanging over yours. Like I'm sure the second I said that, you're like, yep, that's the thing that I've been avoiding doing. Pay attention too to the fact that like it probably won't even take you that long. I think even with all of my breaks, all the things, now first of all, we don't go hardcore for Christmas. I'm sad to say that we don't, but we don't. It maybe took me 45 minutes to take all of Christmas down and have like the boxes put back in the shed, even with going very slowly and taking lots of breaks. So it's probable that the thing that's hanging over your head really isn't going to take that much time to do it, and you're going to feel so much better once it's done. So if you can, if you have the ability physically, if you have the ability mentally, if you're in the right headspace to do it, try to tackle the thing that's just been like hanging over your head, okay? It'll make you feel a lot better. Along the lines of like the physical hygiene thing, take care of your space, okay? Now I know the thing hanging over my head kind of went into the same category, but in general, I'm the kind of person, and I'm sure you are too, because again, you're here, you're my people, we are the same, is tidy house, tidy mind, and I am hugely affected by my environment, and I love a clean house. I love a good candle burning. I love to feel like my space is in order. I love to spend time in my space, but I only like to spend time in my space if my space is in order. And so that was something, once my physical state returned to normal capabilities, again, I was careful. I promise I was careful, but I did want to take the time to like get my space back in check. And so again, back to like the basics of personal hygiene. Get your space back to its basics, right? Like get back to a place where you feel like the outside, your external environment can sort of start to set the scene for your internal environment. And the last thing I'm gonna encourage you to do is to reward yourself. Have a carrot at the end of the stick. You are taking a very big step and sort of trying to encourage yourself to dig out of this hole, right? And that takes some motivation. There takes some convincing. And so if there's something that you enjoy doing that you can either physically make happen, financially make happen, or you can find the time to make it happen, have that be your reward. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be baking a cake. It could be, for me, it was painting my nails. And that's something I really enjoy doing. It's something I used to do all the time. In fact, you never used to catch me without my nails done, but I haven't made the time to do that the same in this season of my life. And it was something that I really wanted to do. And so I incentivized myself by saying if I could get myself back to my baseline and I felt good with where I was, I would reward myself with taking the time to put on a true crime documentary. And I sat down and I painted my nails and it felt lovely. And by the end of that night, when I washed my face and brushed my teeth and climbed into bed, I felt like a new person. And that's what I want for you also. Like, regardless of what season of life you're in right now, regardless of what has put you in this dark pit of despair, I want you to be able to take even just the smallest steps towards feeling like a new person, whether it's the beginning of the year, whether it's the middle of the year, whether it's just been a bad day or a bad week or a bad month. I want you to be able to take the steps necessary to get back to feeling like your best self. And again, these are not lofty things. This is not the time, like, reach for the stars. We're just trying to reach for the door handle, okay? We're just trying to open that door and climb out of this hole. So let's make that happen, okay? Let's get you out of this pit. So with all of that, I'm gonna sign off. I'm so grateful for you guys being here. I can't tell you how much it means to me, this community that we're building. You guys are my people, and I'm so happy to have you here. I feel so very seen and heard and known, and I want you to feel that same way. So sound off in the comments. Tell me something that I should know about you. I want to know who you are, and I want to connect with you, and I want to build this community. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye.